Is the African-American female, excuse me, and we're talking to Miss LWynn from the Tennessee Historical Commission and Fisk University. And of course, Ms. Wynn, during this segment of the show, let's give you an opportunity to talk about the role of African-American women in various categories in the 19th century. Some of the things that you'd like our audience to know that apply specifically to the African-American female. Excuse me.
Okay, one of the things that I would like to point out before we move to the 19th century is that in the colonial period or in the Republican period, you know, when those 55 white men sat down to hammer out a document which would govern this country, very few people realized that the African-American female went from 3/5 of a person in 1787 to 0 in 1870, and 1870 being significant for the ratification of the 15th Amendment, which gave black males the right to vote. So she basically went from being the 3/5 to 0.
She had some influence before the end of the war.
And it was null and void in terms of her voice being heard in representation. You know, if they had really put that old saying, no representation without taxation, or no taxation without representation in the practice, the African-American female, you know, she had the wherewithal to actually put that into practice, could have wielded a whole lot of influence during that time period. But, you know, as we move into that 19th century, black females continue to be proactive. You can look at a woman like Ida B. Wells, who has a Tennessee connection. Ida B. Wells was born a slave in Mississippi after the death of her parents due to the yellow fever epidemic, and two of her siblings. She is, at the age of 16, assumed responsibility for her family. Subsequently, she moved to Tennessee to be with the aunt with two of her siblings, and to also find a better teaching job. And while in Memphis, she became a journalist. And that was going to be one area, because Ida B. Wells is such a complex woman. But she became a journalist. But what was going to really start her movement, protest movement, you might say, was a train ride to Woodstock, where she had purchased a first-class ticket and was given second-class accommodations. And, you know, if you know anything about Ida B. Wells, you know that she was a woman that was not going to stand for that kind of thing. So she protested vehemently, ended up being literally thrown off the train, and she decided to file suit against the railroad company there. It's interesting to note that she did